Something my younger self used to really struggle with was overeating sugary, ultra processed nonsense to a point to where he was basically like an ultra processed boy, if that makes sense. Like the classic stuff that people tend to eat like a lot of, like the cake, the cookies, and even the less sugary stuff, even like the pastas or even something as simple as like a potato. I just eat like a lot of this weird like carby stuff that would just make me feel awful, to be completely honest. But fortunately for myself and probably for other people is, you get onto this sort of fitness journey to where, you start tracking the food that you eat, and you start paying attention, and you start eating a little bit healthier. And for me, that's what I started to do, is where I just naturally I started to remove the ultra processed sugary nonsense. I started to remove just sugar in general from my life, and I started to feel better, just because I was just on this like fitness journey, just trying to pay attention a bit more to my food, and that really helped me out. But I remember moving into last year, no, so November of 2023. I really really wanted to bulk up and gain muscle and get like just absolutely stacked and huge, like get a build like Sam Sulek and whatnot, without minus the steroids, right? But what I thought, my thought process then was, okay, well, I can just eat more, carbs and like sugary stuff and whatnot, just to, hit my calorie goal. And, I thought as long as I had enough protein and whatnot, like I'd be okay, I'll get jacked and it'll be all right. That didn't really turn out, because as soon as I started to do that, something that I started noticing was I started overeating a lot more. Like I didn't really have a good grasp on the amount of calories that I really should have been eating. And so I was overeating by a massive amount. I thought, like, oh yeah, I'm gaining muscle, guys. But what I really was doing was I was gaining a little bit of muscle and just a lot of like fat and water weight, because I was overeating, like sugary, weird stuff that made me feel bad. And to be completely honest, like, sure, I did have some bad foods back then, but what I really tried to focus on was like mostly like 80/20, like 80% whole foods, And even with that though, I still felt like worse after eating even like clean, like sugary things like bananas or pineapple and stuff like that. Like I remember at one point I was like chopping up a pineapple, and like as I would chop the pineapple I would eat it, and I basically ate the whole thing because it tasted really good. But it was also this like weird compulsionary thing that I would do with like the ultra processed junk food, right? But I would also do it with the cleaner sugary things like fruit. Is I just had this weird compulsion to just keep eating food even though I was full, even though I felt kind of sick from it. I just had this weird drive to eat more and more. And it's interesting because something that I learned back in that time, whenever I was just so despondent because of how poorly my bulk had gone, because I gained so much fat. Something that I learned throughout that period was whenever you eat a bunch of like sugary carb stuff, right? Whether that's from fruits, whether that's from ultra processed ice cream, right? Or some freaking like pasta or whatever. Whenever you eat a ton of carbs and stuff that raises your blood sugar, right? Whenever you raise your blood sugar a ton, not only is that like an unhealthy thing to do to your body, because at a certain level, blood sugar, like too much sugar in your blood, can cause like problems. It can start like damaging your body, and that's what kills like diabetics and whatnot, is because they have poor like blood sugar regulation. And so just that in of itself is like a negative thing to do to your body. But also that in doing that, it raises your insulin, which is kind of this hormone in your body that I think your pancreas, one of your organs, secretes, that it puts out into your body. And basically whenever that goes up, it messes like it alters a lot of different things in your body, but fat storage is one. But another thing that it does that I learned was it messes with like your satiety hormone signaling, and it puts you into the state of feeling like you're starving. And I think that's what I was feeling, was this like compulsion to eat more and more, was this carb infused like sugar weird crash thing that mess with my hormones and mess with my satiety to give me this like compulsion to eat more and more. And and I just got to the point to where I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I was so disappointed, because I thought throughout like the 3-ish months that I was bulking, that I was gaining muscle, that I was doing all the right things. I was working out hard, training hard, eating clean, mostly clean food, like basically like 95% clean food, and I just got fat from it. Like I think throughout that entire time period, I gained maybe like 2 pounds of muscle, and I don't even know if I gained that, because on the scanning things, like I didn't do like a DEXA scan or whatever, but on like the scanning things where you stand and you have like your arms out or whatnot, it whenever it scans your muscle, it also scans glycogen, which is like the carbs in your muscles, from what I understand. And whenever you eat a ton of carbs, your glycogen goes up, and the amount of water in your muscles goes up. So it may not be actual like muscle tissue, but like water and stuff that goes into your muscle. So I don't think, like, I genuinely don't think that I gained that much muscle whatsoever, and I just gained body fat throughout that time period. And I felt like looking back, it's just really like disappointing, dude. It's just like it's just wasted time, wasted effort, and it was just time that I basically suffered for, because I just overate this sugary stuff, and I just felt this like weird compulsion to eat more and more. But at one point, I decided that I needed to change things up, and I'm so glad that I started investigating this stuff around diet, because that was the point that I started to make a change. I said, okay, I overeat this stuff a lot. I'm just gonna try and cut it out. And so I originally went to a low carb diet in, I think it was like February or March of this year. And so I started with that, and I started feeling a whole lot better. There's a lot of improvements in not only like my physique. I was a lot less like watery. I felt just lighter, less bloating, that kind of thing. There was a lot of improvements in terms of that, and I felt just a lot better with that. And you don't have to cut out all carbs completely. Like, I'm to the point now to where I've cut out all carbs, but I just think if you get to the point to where you're not you're not eating like 300 carbs a day or whatnot, like I just think that lowering that carb intake was just like the 80% of the benefits that it got me. So you don't have to go super extreme, honestly, to get a ton of benefits from cutting out sugar and carbs and whatnot from your life. I think that you can cut out like a lot and just go like sub 100 and still be in a pretty good range. And so for a few weeks, I ran that diet of just like low carbohydrate, sub 100 grams, and I felt pretty good off that. But I was looking more into this like low carb kind of keto thing, and I decided that I wanted to give it a full on like run for its money, and see how I actually felt, and just experiment a little bit with my own life to see how I'd feel. And so for 2 weeks in March, I decided to go like basically no carb whatsoever. So basically, for the first period of low carb, I was like 50 to 100 grams of carbs that I would like try and limit myself to per day. And then this next period, I was basically at like 0 to 10 carbs per day. It was very low. And I it was kind of strange how I felt afterwards, because while I was kind of transitioning into this like keto phase, I felt kind of like weird energy, because I was switching like to a fat adapted state. I felt such intense sugar cravings, and it was really eye-opening to me to just how like addicted I was to eating sugar, and how crazy this like craving for my how crazy this craving was in my body. And I was like, okay, well, I can't give into this anymore. Like I can feel this is some weird like addiction thing that has been formed over years and years. And so I just decided like I'm gonna stick to this. And so I stuck to it for 2 weeks. I went through those 2 weeks, and after about like 2.5 to like after I got to around the 3 week mark, those cravings basically went away. I didn't crave any sort of like sugar, and there were still those thoughts of like, maybe I should try it again, maybe I should go back to it. And I think at one point I did actually reintroduce like honey and fruits and whatnot for like a couple weeks, just to see how I felt. And I was also like trying out like training styles and whatnot, if it helped my performance or whatnot. It didn't, to be completely honest. And so I was still at like 50-ish grams of carbs, but I didn't feel the same like weird compulsion to overeat again, like just constantly eat this food. And I think that I just broke this like addiction to sugar within those 2 weeks of just no carb whatsoever. And like I said before, it was really like eye-opening to just how messed up my hunger signals were. And just moving forward now, like now I'm to the point where I just like I can't overeat food because I decided to completely cut out like sugar and carbs from my life. And I feel just so much better, to be honest. Like I feel great now after I got out of that weird like 2 week transition period of dealing with cravings and dealing with like the weird energy that I was talking about for transitioning to like a fat adapted state. I feel a lot better now. And there's those times where I think about switching back, and like I said, I did switch back, but I still sometimes I'll think about switching back, but I always kind of reminisce, and I think about, okay, what was my life quality like back then though, whenever I was eating these foods? What did I feel like? And I can just remember feeling like weird. I just feel weird whenever I eat those things. And I felt off, felt bad, weird, like lethargic, slow energy. Those were the times where I gained a ton of body fat. And so I just think back, and every single time it's just like this negative energy. It's just like this negative outlook whenever I look back on those days. And this is kind of a weird side note, but sometimes I'll have like weird dreams where maybe I'll try and eat like a candy bar or like some cake or whatnot, and it just turns into like sawdust in my mouth. So I don't know if that's my brain like trying to coax me back into this addiction or whatnot. I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of, and so now I've been on this journey for like about a year now, and so I've been no carb for about 6 months at this point, and I'm very grateful that I've gone this far, because I've realized now like I have a level of control that I don't think I had before. Just kind of like a level of agency and control over the things that I eat now that I didn't have. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it's just kind of this like I've gotten rid of the weird compulsion to eat more and more and more. It's less like whenever I feel hungry, I'll eat, but then I don't have this, like after I'm full, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't have this weird compulsion, even when I'm full, to keep eating more and more. It's just kind of like based off intuition now, more than it is like, oh, I feel hungry, I want more. It's just like, okay, does this taste good to me? Not really. I'm probably not going to eat it. I'm just like, like, am I hungry right now? Like, I could eat, but meh. It's kind of like, it's not, there's no more compulsion. And I just, like, that has given me so much more control, not only over my diet, right? But it also just, it kind of leached into other areas of my life whenever it comes to just like free thinking, like just my actions, my daily routine and everything else. It just kind of starts at that baseline, just gives me a little bit more of a feeling of control in my life, which I prefer to have than this feeling of like, oh, I'm never in control of anything. Like I think I think you'll agree with me. You probably like to be in control of of what you do and just your life in general, and not having some weird external force upon you X, Y, or Z, that kind of thing. I think you'll agree with me on that. And so just having that agency in diet also just leaches into other areas of life. Like, one saying that I've learned recently is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so if your diet is just kind of like based on compulsion and based off of, oh, this weird addiction that you have, it might, it'll probably reflect in other areas of your life as well, like your physique, like your work, like everything else in your life. I'm super grateful that I have discovered this kind of early on in life, and that I've done this and, kicked the addiction before, it like developed into this like concrete thing in my life. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm recording this video just because I want to just give an example, give like a testimony, I guess, to anyone else out there, to show that it is possible, right? Like, I'm like a compulsionary teenager, bro, like that does things based off like emotion and whatnot, like not as mature as I could be, that kind of thing. And so I just think that if I can do it as some, random 17-year-old teenager, that if you're watching this, that you can do it as well, right? Like, there's really no reason why anyone can't kick sugar addiction completely out of their life. And even if you still have carbs and whatnot, that's fine. It's just kind of removing this compulsion to eat more and more. However way that you do that, I've just done it by just completely kicking it, like completely cutting it out of my life. But I think it's possible to just get rid of like the compulsion to overeat just in general in your life. And so I just wanted to record this video to show that it is possible, right? Like, there is like, you can do it. And since you are able to do it, you will also be able to reap the rewards of, kicking that habit out of your life. And so, just to end off this video, I just want to give off one action step that I think has really helped me throughout this entire journey. And that is to just ignore what other people think. Don't care about what other people say, or, like their weird comments on whatever you decide to do whenever it comes to your diet. Because at the end of the day, everyone's going to judge you, right? No matter what you're doing, someone's going to judge you. Like, if you're a vegan, someone's going to judge you. If you're a carnivore, someone's going to judge you. If you run, someone's going to judge you. If you just exist, like, there's going to be someone out there who judges you for literally no reason, right? So, like, why would you care, right? Because at the end of the day, what matters is your own experience and the quality of your own life. And if you've clicked on this video, if you made it this far, chances are you've probably experienced some level of sugar addiction in your life, or any level of addiction in your life, and it's bothered you, and it's made your life worse, right? But what matters at the end of the day is your life quality, okay? Not what someone else thinks about what you do, right? What matters is the experiences you have in your own life and the quality of those experiences. So don't care about what other people think. At the end of the day, their opinions literally do not matter. So just ignore it, okay? Because something that I hear sometimes is just, oh, you should live a little, whenever it comes to my diet. Like, I just think that's not a good, like, personally, I don't think that's a good philosophy to live by. Because whenever living a little makes you feel awful for hours or days afterwards, it's not worth it. It's not fun. It's not having fun. It's not like just having fun, guys. It's not worth it. And so that's the action step that I would say, is just ignore what other people think. Whenever you're changing up your diet, whatever extreme you go to, if you want to cut out carbs, if you want to, you just lower your carbs, if you want to only eat clean food, which is something that I would suggest to do. If you want to change anything, there's going to be resistance. And so by ignoring the people around you and just focusing on what will make your life better, I know it sounds selfish, but it'll make you a better person, and you'll show up better for other people in their lives. So yeah, that's the action step. Just ignore what other people say. Their opinions do not matter. I hope this video has helped you out. I genuinely do. And so if you like what I'm saying, and this video has been helpful, then I really would like you to go and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And, do all the YouTube stuff, like share it, subscribe, like the video, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you for watching. Be better and have a W day.